the criminals coming from Europe, arriving on the island of Haiti. That's the name of the entire island. That's what the Arawak people called it. And this for thousands of years before the criminals arrived from Europe. And when they arrive, they find the people there. It is estimated there were between 2 and 3.5 million Arawaks on the island in 1492. 11 years later, it was estimated less than 100,000 people were living on this island. A little before this estimate, as they noticed that the people were just dropping off like flies, the Europeans went to Jamaica, collected a portion of the population there, brought them to Haiti to dig for gold for them. And that population disappeared too. They went to Puerto Rico and brought boatloads of Arawak and Tainos and Caribs. And that population disappeared too in Haiti. We are told this whole process is supposed to be a civilizing process. We are told the Arawaks were savages. We are told, in some cases they even say they were, what's the word they like to say when you eat people? No, cannibals. Cannibals. They were cannibals. But you know, these Arawaks were living there for thousands of years and multiplying. 3.5 million people eliminated in less than 11 years. A few Europeans came. The Europeans were never more than a few thousand on the island. If we had 3.5 million cannibals on an island, and a few thousand Europeans came, and after 11 years, the cannibals were all dead, and the civilizers were still there. Is there something wrong with this information? Something very wrong. Very, very wrong there.
Hey, hello everyone. This is Jay with K&J What 5HT channel coming back at you. Got a few things we want to talk about today. You know what we deal with. We try to deal with truths here. And those 5 H's, when we're dealing with the truth, we know the truth. It hurts. The truth is hard. The truth helps. The truth is healthy, and the truth heals. And that's a process. That's really a process, especially if you struggle with dealing with truths. So what we want to talk about today is, I want to talk about a few things that's going on roughly in today's time. We roughly in the second week of February. Some things have transpired and happened since then. Just past Sunday, we've had a Super Bowl. We're going to talk about that because that was an interesting take. I typically don't watch halftime at the Super Bowl because I know a lot of it be ritualistic and have a lot of hidden meanings in it. But for some reason, something led me to watch this halftime Super Bowl, and I just want to talk a little bit about it. Talk a little bit about a few things, man. A little bit about government, academia. We're going to try to mix it in today. That's what we're going to do today. However, I like to say that my family, we got some good news. You know, we suffered a tragedy about a month ago in our family. Lost a loved one through violence. And in most cases, it would always go unsolved. Not just dealing with me, I'll say per se in my family, but families across the country, across the nation, because of the political climate that we have, and people have agendas attached to their to their politics. They want to score political points. They want to be able to stay in office, so they do whatever they can to appeal or appease a certain group of people that they feel like are effective voters, and that can keep them in the spot that they're in, regardless of the policies that's being passed. And some of the policies are horrendous. But like I say, this is once again the local Memphis area I'm discussing. We had a crime solved within a month's time. Let me tell you something, people. That's kind of unheard of, because we have soft politicians now that's they deal a lot. They love to appeal to us with the R word, which is race related, whether it's racism or racist. It doesn't really matter. That's a very sensitive word to people in my community. So what they do is they use those words to get you and your feelings and your emotions, and they get you to actually help them stay in place where they can make decisions and put policies in place that really doesn't help your community at all. And we can look at that around this country, like some of the major cities in this country, some of the larger cities in this country. If you go on a very inner city, closer to the downtown area, or no matter what city it might be, you're going to find the most impoverished people that now resides in those areas, and those people tend to be forgotten. However, we did have a group of people that's new here, and they were well taken in and well taken care of. So I want to say, for the local Memphis officials and everybody that worked the case, that brought this to what we call the beginning of a conclusion or justice being served, I want to thank you, starting with the National Guards, the task force, MPD, sheriffs. Now we look into the district attorney, because we know how some of these district attorneys are. They be pretty much soft on crime, and kind of allow people that really doesn't deserve to be on the streets, back on the streets, only to do more harm to other people. So right now, I just wanted to shout that out, especially to my auntie and my family, because we've all been going through these last couple of years. And finally, it seemed like we getting some type of justice for a tragedy that has broken the hearts of people in my family. Okay, we got that out. I want to just talk about a couple other things. You know, I know I'm not going to ever pretty much stay away from politics and government, because they pretty much lead the way onto how we believe. A lot of people would think that it's the spiritual leaders in the community that actually has the more impact on people. But I would challenge that to say it's government. And I look at what's going on, and that's how I come to my conclusion that it's government. They get to dictate how we think, how we move, how we feel, what we do, and what we don't do. Slowly but surely taking the place of a God that most people say they believe in. And by doing so, they make those particular people or that particular system of government their God. And, you have people talking about all kind of things, man. Let's start with the E-file or the Epstein file. And that right there is, I don't see how one would get so caught up in it. I know it's a bad situation that happened to people, but I want to ask you to understand something. The people that were involved, or we would say allegedly involved with some of these acts dealing with this guy, Mr. Epstein, These people are some of the highest ranking officials and political figures, and whether it be athlete, it doesn't matter. Around the world, not just in the United States, but around the world. So they just play games with you with the e-file to keep you continue to strive in your emotions, keeping the division and the divide going on between us. Let me tell you what I think about the e-file. It's impossible for them to expose it. It is simply impossible for them to expose the people that was involved with these horrendous acts, man. It would not only be the collapse of a country, it would be the collapse of a whole nation. Actually, so many people around the world was involved. It could be a total collapse of the system once people see who were actually involved with these acts that went on that strange, weird island. So to play the games with you and put the files in your face and redact everything, and you really don't know what's going on, the truth will more than likely never be known. It's impossible. Too many high people involved. So I stay away from that. I do not let it affect the way I think, how I operate. I hate it happen for the people that were that suffered up under those heinous acts. I hate it. But what more can we do about it? I mean, especially if we're talking about people in such high offices, high ranking officials, man, we don't stand a chance. They feel like they don't owe us much at all anyway. So don't get caught up in the rhetoric. That's what I'm asking of you. Because when it comes down to it, the politicians, they pretty much roll with each other, whether it be Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter, man. One coin, two sides. The coin has the same value. That's all. If you gave me a 50-cent piece coin, when I go in the store, regardless of what side I give it to the clerk, to give it to the merchant on, regardless, it's going to be the same value. And if they owe me anything back there, I'm going to get the same change back. Nothing changes. So we have the protest, like I said. It's died down. We just waiting for the next big thing to move us, because that's pretty much how it rolls. They know our attention span is very short. We can't ride off whatever the new thing too long. We need something else, because the new thing become old very fast. So we need something else to trigger us, to keep the divide going. So be looking for something else, because these protest thing, you got government that's supposed to be for the people, but they're not working in hand with the people. You say, well, how come it work better in some cities? How come ICE can do things better in one city, and then in another city or two it doesn't do better? It doesn't do as well, I'll say. But, it depends. It's, from state to state, from city to city. That's how this government is ran. It's pretty much like that. Our state laws kind of vary from state to state. And, whomever in office and whoever they actually side with, that's pretty much what you're going to get. When a mayor can tell the local police, say, well, don't operate with ICE. And one might think like, how does that work? How can he do that? Well, first of all, he's the mayor of the city. He's running the city. So he's over the police department. And then you got this thing called a separated ordinance. That's what it's called, separated ordinance, to where the local police do not have to hand over detainees. So that's what they operate on. They operate up under that particular law. It's like separated ordinance. We do not have to give ICE any detainees. So when you be getting bent out of shape and trying to figure out how does this work, these are some of the laws that's enacted, and this how that thing go, man. That's how they can slide under the cracks sometime. And that's how, where we think one thing shouldn't be able to happen, well, you got to know the laws. Once you know the laws, then you can understand why it works this way. And it always works in hand for whomever that is might be in that particular office, and whatever the side they actually supporting at that particular time. Yeah. So it just get crazy. It gets crazy. And, you know, the Super Bowl happened to be in San Francisco, which used to be one of the richest cities in the country. I mean, it was just known for that. It was known for other things too. I'm pretty sure some people might know. I'm not going to go there, but I'm just saying it's the city where, you know, people thrived at one time. And now, if you go on the inner city, just like I said, always check the inner city, not the surroundings. Because if you went to the Super Bowl, everything was prestigious. It was beautiful. You had all these well-to-do people and well-known people, and everything just looked beautiful. But you go a few blocks down the street on down, where you run into a sad, sad story where you have actual drug addicts on the street, living on the street, have no place to go, doing the drugs on the street. Some of the drugs is handed out by your local government because they figure that's one of the best ways to help these people rather than fight against them and throw them in jail, kind of help their addiction and try to find another way to help them. I don't understand that. If my best friend is an alcoholic, what I'm gonna do for him is I'm gonna continue to feed him alcohol, and maybe some way we'll work this problem out. In the midst of him drinking daily and getting drunk daily, I don't understand it, but a lot of people, some kind of way, they have gained a form of sympathy, which is a false form of sympathy. Once again, like I just talked in my last post about those people down in Sodom. Instead of just leading people down the road, and you got um, a person like Miss Nancy Pelosi. That's her home. That's her city. That's her home city. You know, very well-to-do woman, very, very well-to-do woman, and this is happening up on her watch. She's been in office forever. She's now, I'm pretty sure she's they say she's retired, but she still have influence on the younger Congress people that's in office now because her voice still is strong because she was there so long. Then you have this new guy, Mr. Newsom, the guy that's governor of California right now, and all this weird stuff going on in California, and people, exodus is going on in California. They fleeing it, and this guy is running for, he more than likely, he has the aspirations, I'll say, to run for president in his next term. And only thing I suggest that you do, you know, because they selling his looks. Oh, he's a good looking guy. He ought to be a great looking president. Oh, look at his hair. See, and that's that surface level stuff. What I'm asking you to do is look at his policies, check his background, look what he's done, look what he support. And then some of it, they change it now. They'll change up. So you got to go further back. Don't start looking at now, just recent and all that. You got to go further back to actually trigger or pick up where these people live and how they really, really operate and what they really believe. San Francisco is on the way to be a disaster city. Los Angeles, the same thing. And we probably can say the same about a few more cities in that state. It's not doing well. It's just not doing well. And most of the country follow after California and New York. New York, East Coast, California, West Coast. Everybody else is in between. They call it the flyover states. The flyover states. When you fly from California to New York or vice versa, from New York to California, you fly over all these other states, the flyover states. Bringing me to the Super Bowl and the new state that we have, which is Puerto Rico. This guy, Bad Bunny or something, did this Super Bowl halftime. A lot of people was outraged about it, and some people say, "Hey, why you outraged? I mean, what's the problem?" And some people are like, "Well, you know, he did the whole thing in Spanish. We didn't understand a thing he said." And it's like, well, okay, fine. So my thing is, I have nothing. I don't have much to say on that as far as the Spanish part. Although, you know, we have the access to learning the language, but we know the primary language not by law, but the primary language is English. And, a lot of people just didn't understand that. But I'm going to tell you what I have a take on it. This is my take. It's not more of the halftime going totally almost in Spanish. It's not that. We're going to deal with that later. But I was looking at the messaging that I saw and how I depict and what I see out of the messaging, because they always have a message in it. It's a hidden message. It's a subliminal hidden message that they shoot to the masses, and they see which side picks it up and which side misses it. They expect most of you to miss it, in which in some cases that's true. Some of you may catch it. Some of the things that I caught, what people might call it ritualistic, was it was interesting that the theme was, it looked like a wedding and people getting married, and everybody had this white dress code going on, signifying purification. And so what was the wedding about? A lot of people say it was a spit in the face, because they just said, these are my people. We get sensitive about a lot of things. They just messing with the single black women, because most black parents are single, and they was just pushing that their particular culture or group of people, they invest in marriage and all that. Could be true. It could be true. I was trying to find a spiritual meaning in it. What's the wedding about? What you marrying into? Who are you marrying? What do they believe? What do they push? And I saw a lot of things that didn't rub me well, as far as the dance routines and what I witnessed. Two of the same genders doing things that you would think it would be a male and a female doing. But anyway, marriage to what and whom? We understand that it was a wedding in the end time, or supposed to be in Revelation. Christ being the groom and the people being the bride. So are we marrying into that, or are we marrying away from it? What are we doing? Then I looked at the flag situation. I understood. I think I heard him, the first flag, or was America's flag. This is on his exit, and the show is almost over. And it's like, God bless America. And then you see the American flag. Then he started naming all the other countries, which is in this part of the Northern Hemisphere. Most of them were located down in South America, and that's fine and dandy. Have no problem with that. But I just checked it out. I was checking out the positioning, how the American flag came out first, but slowly, as it progressed and came to the end, if you pay close attention, the American flag slowly dissipated and almost just really literally disappeared. And then you see all these other flags. And that's the same thing I see in these protests. I see other flags. So that tells me that, to have a world order, you can't have borders. So the border situation has to go away. We know what the guy that's in the image in the White House right now. We know he has a whole different take on the border. But, he can only be there so long. So you're going to get another group of people in now. I see them erasing this border thing, just getting rid of the borders and make it open and free trade. And because most of the countries in the other parts of the world are actually operating in that manner. A lot of people say, well, without borders, you can't have a sovereign country or a sovereign state without borders. Case in point, Tennessee borders Arkansas, Mississippi, and Kentucky, and a couple more states anyway. I can name them, but I don't have to name them all, but you know what I'm saying. So if Tennessee didn't have a border, then all of those particular states would be a part of one sovereign area. If that make any sense to you, then therefore it wouldn't be no Arkansas, it wouldn't be no Mississippi, no Alabama, no Georgia, no Kentucky, no Missouri. Okay, those are some of the states that border Tennessee. So I'm just saying, so once you get rid of the border, it opens everything up. And what it opens everything up to is this order. This order we trying to get to. We're trying to get to this one world order thing. And like I keep telling you, it will get there. I was thinking in how you get a lot of different groups of people together. You get a lot of different groups of people together and how it can be a melting pot. And everybody got their own way of thinking and everybody got their own way of believing. Now this thing becomes to be more difficult to manage. So when it gets to be more difficult to manage, then you're going to have to find someone that can manage it, because you got all these different groups of people thinking in all different ways. And you're trying to appease all these people. And how do you do that without maybe upsetting one group by allowing another group to do things that this other group don't quite deal with? That can become a difficult thing, and that creates a form of chaos. I was thinking in Exodus, right? Like, let's go to. I want to take you to Exodus 12. Because see, I said all that because I want to go somewhere. Let's go to Exodus 12 right quick. Exodus 12 and 38, and it reads like this. This is after the children of Israel, or the Hebrews, were freed from bondage from Egypt. It said, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle, and they baked unleavened cakes of dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victuals. Now, the sojourning of the children of Israel who dealt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass. And all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. 430 years. United States been operating up under this particular government for 400 and some years, and I am not suggesting that the United States has been here for 400 years. Obviously, it has been here way longer than 400 years. It's just a group of people came and conquered it, and they've been running it for 400 and some odd years. And there were bondage in this land. There were people taken into bondage, and they suffered many things. At that particular time, it wasn't a mixed multitude of people, though. It was just a small group of people. The group that came and invaded, and then the group that was already here, which could have been maybe at the most culturally, I say 3 groups of people. I'm just going to say that safely, but we know there was a group of people that actually was over the whole land before the conquerors came and conquered here. Almost the same period of time. Something has to happen for America. And we're on the border of this thing happening. The Super Bowl told me a lot, and I understand the messaging in it. So there's a new wedding ceremony going on. There's a new culture that's about to be, I'll say, uplifted and pushed in this particular country, pushing another side away. Then we'll end up in this, like Exodus 12 and 38 said, this mixed multitude. And when you get a mixed multitude of people, you're going to have a whole lot of different beliefs. You're going to have people seeing one way, believing another way, and then, then you have chaos. That's what we continue to have. And so what we do is we get rid of the borders, which we're going to get rid of the borders. So for all the people that's happy about what the guys in office doing now, he doesn't have long to be there. And even if his predecessor or his vice president even come into play, he only has so long to be there. There's an agenda that's set in place and no one can change it. No one. If the Most High said it would happen, it's going to happen. That's an agenda set in place and no one would change it. Trust me. When I say no one, I mean no one. And I was looking at it, he's saying they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt. This is Exodus 12 and 39. And unleavened, because you've heard the word unleavened before, because they was instructed to eat unleavened bread on the day of Passover. And unleavened in the Paleo Hebrew meaning is of a purification or purified. So, nothing can come in and taint it. So that's what they were feeding off. Unleavened cakes of dough, right? Mm-hmm. Which is made of bread, and bread is considered the word. So we're talking about a purified word, or a word that has purification qualities to it. So that's what the mixed multitude was leaving with. So at least they had something to leave their place of bondage with. What do we have in our life to leave with? Right now we got division. And that's the nice setup for what people desire. And they was a lot of people like, well, they don't like to mix politics up with church, and I get it. And I use the word church, and I rarely use the word church. But anyway, let's just say mixing politics up with religion. And I really don't like to use religion either, but I rather use religion. So you mixing politics up with religion, or government with religion. They say you don't supposed to do it. But there's a reason why they said that. It's not that you don't supposed to do it. The so-called founding fathers came up with that because they know how they suffered up under the Roman Catholic Church during their time, because the king is in charge. The king is in charge of everybody, but the king has to answer to the Pope. So the king is in charge of everybody, but he has to answer to the Pope. So your question is he in charge of the Pope too? Yeah, sort of, kind of. Sort of, kind of, he in charge of the Pope too, because the Pope's a part of the kingdom, so he's ruling the whole kingdom. But the Pope has a say-so, because the Pope has a connection with God. And if the Pope excommunicate the king, then the king becomes unpopular with the people. And when the people see that the king is unpopular because the spiritual leader has said God has rejected him, then the people are not going to be too happy about that particular king. Then he begins to lose his power. So the king over the Pope, and then the Pope over the king. See how that operates? Because the king rules the land, but the king can be excommunicated by the Pope. So who has the real power? So that was the reason for the separation of church and state. And it was under the First Amendment, which is called the Establishment Clause. You probably never heard of it unless you read the Constitution and the amendments. And everybody know a lot of people are not down with it, especially the people that look like me, because we always felt that the Constitution never meant for us to be a part of it. So, but that's fine and dandy. But still find out and read and see what's in it. Don't you think that'll be all right? Because they're going to teach it to your child anyway. Even if you didn't learn it in school, they're going to teach it to your kid. Because we live in Gen Z. And Gen Z and the millennials and the Gen Alpha, man, these young people are career driven, man. They search for all kind of knowledge and understanding. So whoever will give it, man. And if they're not getting it at home, they're going to get it from somewhere. So the First Amendment, man, of the Constitution is called the Establishment Clause. And what the Establishment Clause does is it prohibits Congress from making any laws, okay? Any law that's respecting and the establishment of a religion. Any law that's respecting the establishment of a religion. This clause ensures that the government cannot create a state-sponsored church or favor one religion over another. Did you understand what it said? What this clause does? This clause ensures that the government cannot create a state-sponsored church, meaning that the state can't set up a church and demand everybody to go to it. This is the separation of church and state, because I done told you that don't make no sense. It's no sense in separation of church and state. You ask all the people that got a 501c3, and they'll tell you the state control what they do and what they can't do. So don't tell me it's a separation of church and state. That's false. Okay, then you got the free exercise clause. And what is the free exercise clause? This clause ensures that the government cannot prohibit the free exercise of a religion, regardless of what religion it might be, even if it's no religion. Do you know that there are religions that are Satan worshipers and they got the right to do that? It's nothing you can do about it. They got that right. Just this mixed multitude of people with all these different thoughts and all these different beliefs and all these different ideologies. And they mixed in this country and we all blended together in this big pot that's boiling. And eventually it's going to boil over. No borders. It will happen. It almost happened up under the last watch. When you had, they say 13 million, which probably was way more than that crossed over. And now we fighting to get some of them back. It's impossible for him to get 13 million people back. So go sit down somewhere on your protest. And now he will not be sending U.S. citizens nowhere. You can't send them nowhere. Why? Because you're a U.S. citizen. Just think. I mean, just think with your brain and don't let fear tactics, man. The fear tactics, man, is crazy. Once people get you to fear and get you afraid of something and get you all worked up, you will do and just about believe anything. And that's what they operate off. They operate off your fear. And I'm asking you to just don't let it happen. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let that happen to you. This is what, okay, a lot of people use this acronym for fear. This acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. I'm going to say that again. This is the acronym for fear. People uses this, and it makes a lot of sense. False evidence appearing real. See, what they're telling you is we have evidence, but the evidence that they're presenting is not real. Case in point. Now, if you said why, I thought people when they don't supposed to mix religion in church. Well, somebody forgot to tell the Most High to tell Isaiah to leave Hezekiah alone. Don't counsel him. Somebody must have forgot to tell Nathan, leave David alone. Don't counsel him. He's the king. Somebody must have forgot to tell Samuel, leave Saul alone. Don't counsel him. He's king. Somebody forgot to tell Daniel that he cannot be a part of the Babylonian or the Persian government. Somebody forgot to tell Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that they cannot be operating in no government if they call themselves serving God. Now, what you got to say about that? Separation of church and state. Don't mix politics with religion. You've been served false evidence appearing real. And it's right there in the book that you say you believe. Let's talk about it just a little bit. I want to go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, and I'm going to go to, first of all, let's deal with the 12. Daniel 3 and 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of providence of Babylon. There are certain Jews who thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy God, nor worship the golden image that thou hast set up. That's Daniel 3. I just read 3:22 through 23. Or did I read that right? No. I'm going to get this right. This is Daniel, the 3rd chapter, 12 through 14. That's what I just read you. And it was talking about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who is now they are part of the province in Babylon. They head men in the government. They are head men in the government. Yeah. Oh, somebody forgot to tell the Most High. Oh no, you can't do that. It's a separation of church and state. Let me tell you something. Most High spiritual leaders has always counseled and been a part of government. It's impossible for them not to be. But here's the deal. Those men were willing to sacrifice their lives for who and what they believe, rather than going and siding with the evil king that was in charge and said, no, you're going to do this my way. So this is about Daniel here. I'm going to Daniel, 2nd chapter, 47 through 49 is what I'm going to read. And this says, the king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your God is a God of gods and a Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets. See, and I could have revealed this secret. Daniel just revealed his dream. Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. And Daniel requested of the king that he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. Separation of church and state, right? I don't think so. So today's time, our problem is we find it extremely difficult to find a Daniel or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that's willing to disregard the man in charge and stand up for right and even risk, put their life on the line for it. No, we got a money-driven government. And I'm going to say it again, people. Forget the separation of church and state. False evidence appearing real. Selling you fear factors. Just fear factors. Just fear. That's how I can get you to move in ways that you wouldn't normally move. Because when you're afraid of something, it makes you do things that you usually don't do. So here we go. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refused to bow down to the king's image. They just weren't going to do it. So since they didn't do it, Daniel 3:22 said, therefore, because the king commanded was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, and the flames of the fire slew the men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Yeah, they didn't mind. Their life was on the line. But for what they believed and what they stood for, they rejected the king. They rejected the king. And I'm thinking about, they like, they had another protest called No Kings. And then they talking about the image in the White House. No kings, no king, no kings, no kings, no king. If the guy was operating like a king, he wouldn't even allow them to have that protest. It's false evidence appearing real. And I'm not siding with no one in government, period. I'd rather be more of a Daniel and a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Just throw me in the fiery furnace. Because I'm watching all of you guys. I'm watching him. I'm watching y'all too. That's asking me to do certain things that don't make sense to me at all. So Daniel 3:26 say, then Nebuchadnezzar, as he threw him in the fire, he saw nothing happen to him because they was willing to stand on what they believed. 26 said, then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come thither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth from the midst of the fire. because they were willing to take the flames. They were willing to take the flames for what they believed. Not because someone falsely came up with something. Well, look, all you got to do is just you can worship this image right here, right? You can worship the image, but you really ain't got to believe it. You still can believe your God. But in front of all the people, we just need you to fall down and worship the image. You know, it's just a show. That's all. It's just a show. Fast forward to today, it's just a show. But most people fall for it. Well, I'm really a Christian. I'm a Christian person. They love to say they're a Christian person, but they do some of the most unchristian things that Christians say that shouldn't happen. How can you side with someone? Check this out. I just want to use this for an example. This happened in Colorado. It was 20, and I'm using now, let's get it straight. I'm not pushing for no sides, but I just want to show you something. Because some people think one side is good and the other side is evil. Well, I'll let you continue to believe the evil side that's in the White House right now. So that means you're probably more likely align yourself with the other side. Let me show you something about the other side then. Being the Democrats. It was 27 Democrats voted against the child indecency exposure being a felony. I'm going to say it again. 27 Democrats in the state of Colorado voted against child indecency exposure being a felony to protect drag queens, book readings in the library to children. Let me run this by you one more time. Academia, wake up. What your child is doing is what they say. What did they used to say? What time was it? 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock? I can't remember. But they used to ask you, where is your child? 27 Democrats in the state of Colorado voted against the child indecency exposure being a felony to protect drag queens, book readings in libraries to who? Children. So just for a group of people that can be who they want to be, that's their business if that's what they want to be. But that doesn't mean I want my child sitting in front of you while you reading them a book. And not only that, what are you reading out of? What book are you reading to them?
27 Democrats in Colorado voted against child indecent exposure being a felony. Let me say that again. 27 Democrats in office in Colorado voted against, not for, the protection of children for indecent exposure being a felony. Their reason? To protect drag shows being read for story time. That's who Democrats are supporting. I don't want to hear any excuses for that. 27. 27. I do not care for a single person's explanation as to why a child, 4, 5, 6 years old, needs to see a drag show in a library or anywhere in school or anywhere in life that is not educational, that is not beneficial, and it is not protecting children. It's disgusting, and it's giving child pedo vibes. Shame on you, Democrats.
So now you got a people in government, most of them, I guarantee you, they'll say they're Christians. I guarantee you, out of the 27, I'm gonna just be safe and say, I'm just for the matter, I'm gonna say, let's just say 18 of them gonna say they're a Christian, but they voting against a child indecency exposure being a felony because they want drag queens to be able to do book readings in a library. Now you tell me how that lines up with what is deemed Christianity. You tell me how that lines up. Now let me show you how I feel about that. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No way, King. No way, Mayor. No way, House seat, chair seat. No way. I'm voting against that. I don't approve that. I'm gonna stand on my ideology, my firm beliefs, and my beliefs gonna depict who I say I am. I'm not gonna say I'm one thing and do another one. I'm not gonna say, no, King. We only serve the Most High. We will not bow down to the image. And the king come to the side and say, well, look, I know you serve the Most High. Man, come on, I put y'all in government. I know I put y'all there too. So this is what I need you to do because you got influence over a certain group of people now. All I need you to do, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, just bow down just one time in front of the people, man, and get it over with, and we can go on about our business. You can go on back to serving the God you say you believe. But in front of the people, I had led them to believe that it's all right for this particular act. Yeah, I'm mixing government in with this thing because vast majority of us, we do listen to government, whether we want to say it or not. And we can be in the building every Sunday or we can be in the building every Saturday. I don't care which day it is. I really, really don't. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters is what you getting out of it and how you making it practical in your life. What are you exhibiting to people when you are claiming to be one thing and doing another? When you're claiming to believe one way and then acting in another way. You remember I said a ritual doesn't care what you believe. A ritual cares what you do. You don't have to believe the ritual, but please participate in the ritual. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, that's where we are. And that's what goes on, man. It's just really crazy. So since they didn't bow down, they withstood the pressure from the king. Okay, this what else happened. I'm going to read Daniel 3 and 29 and 30. This is Nebuchadnezzar. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this source. And the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. See, they got even a higher position in his government. They were government officials led by the Most High, who stood up against a king that's supposed to have all the power. But what are you standing up against? Are you standing up against or for the wrong or the right things? Back to that Super Bowl situation, because I said I was going to say something about, some of the people different people had different things that they were upset about. Like I said, I'm just looking through and I'm just reading through the messaging in it. And I'm like, so why would he go up on a street pole or a light pole like he's dealing with some kind of electrician or some form of energy? Okay, one person said, well, don't you remember when the hurricane hit Puerto Rico and they was in the dark for so long? That was the messaging. Okay, fine. Natural. What do you think the spiritual meaning was, though? Energy, power grid. Why would you be at the Super Bowl up on a street pole singing? Messaging, energy, disconnect, your energy, power grid, offset, marrying who? Maybe a new system, a new God. All this wedding thing going on. And then I could be the last one to even talk about the lyrics of the songs. Most of us, maybe that's listening to me now, do not speak an ounce of Spanish. Therefore, we probably, if we watched it and we didn't understand anything and didn't probably even get the messaging that they was actually promoting through this performance. In my culture, we got what we call rap. So we're the last group of people that can talk about what people say through their lyrics and rap. But however, I can say this. Most rap songs have explicit lyrics, terrible messaging, just terrible, man. You know, it belittles, it denigrates women, men, people, neighborhood. You just terrible. But when they go on a network, a national network, they have to play around with the lyrics. There's certain things they cannot say. It might be certain things they cannot do, but they let them get away with a lot of doing. But the saying, there's certain words they don't want them using and saying. And it makes sense. However, I was told that, because we didn't have any closed captioning to see what the guy was actually saying, some of the things that he was saying was very explicit. It was not child friendly. And it was suggesting a lot of acts that's not normal to most people, but normal within a certain group or class of people, because this is what they do, which is another thing that's being promoted in this particular performance. They say he was saying some really bad things, man. And my thing is, let's keep the playing ground even. Let's keep it fair. If my nasty mouth rap brothers have to clean their songs up when they go on national TV, then everybody that has explicit sounds or lyrics in their music should clean their song up when they go on national TV. However, this guy didn't have to clean up much. And I'm not going to even go into some of the things that they said were said. You do your own investigative work. You do it so you can hear it with your own ears. Don't let me be the one to ring it over a channel. And if you're not interested in it, and that's fine too. All I'm saying to you is that we are going somewhere, and we're going there fast. You know how you on the freeway and you're traveling at this rate of speed and you're thinking you're going to get there at a certain time, right? Then you run into this traffic jam and it slows you down and it kind of puts you off schedule just for a minute, but it doesn't stop you from keeping the journey moving forth. You know, you steady moving forth on this journey. And eventually you make it to the end goal. You know? Yeah. You pretty much get there. So that's all I'm telling you. The journey to where I see this country heading, it's just slowed down. Once the velocity and the speed picks back up, we'll make it. Just understand and know. Who you putting over you in your particular city, county, and state. Understand what these people believe. We living in a wicked time. In Sodom and Gomorrah, they couldn't even find 10 righteous people. The government now, money driven. Yeshua say, look, you can't serve two gods. You're going to love one and hate the other. You can't serve both God and mammon. And right now, Mammoth is running supreme. Give me the money and I'll say and do anything. I'll lead these sheep any kind of way because most sheep are followers. Yeah, I usually do not do that Super Bowl halftime thing. I've been got away from that. But I'm really kind of glad that I watched it because show me the message. Show me where you taking me. Just like when I was in school and they taught me all the things that they did around the world, how they conquered nations and the means they went about conquering. It taught me a whole lot more that about them that I didn't know. I knew a whole lot about us, and I'm still learning about us. But I'm just saying, a lot of times they'll put it right there in your face. So to those 27 Democrats that voted against that child indecency exposure, just to exposure being a felony, you're going to vote against that just so some drags can read some books in the library to some children? What are you trying to do? Where are you leading my kid? What do you want? I heard they even had kids walking out of school and protesting. I wonder what grade were they in? Who signed off on that? That you can just let my child out of school so they can go and protest. They probably don't even know what they're protesting about. Most of them just want to get out of the class anyway. They don't want to do the work. But for the ones that might be involved, what are you teaching them? Don't use fear tactics. False evidence appearing real. Don't use fear tactics. Talk to your children. See what they're teaching your kids at school. Be involved. Be active. Parents and grandparents. Be responsible. We got a new generation coming behind us. I'm not talking to the baby boomers and the X's are good. Okay, they say we on the back end, but we got millennials and Gen Zers and coming up alphas that's pushing this thing, man. And they willing to push us out the way. Because they figure we are not bringing anything to the table anyway. Only thing we've done was sell them a lot of untruths, a lot of fear tactics as well. And we were so injured out of the racism that came in the late 50s and 60s and all that, and before that, all the Jim Crow acts, and then we come through the marches and discriminations, and we just so injured as a people to that racist word. It affects us so badly. But we didn't have much to teach a millennial or Gen Z. We didn't have much to teach them. Not really. We just taught them what we thought they taught us, and they taught us what they wanted to teach us because they figured we wouldn't go further to find out more. But we got a generation now, I'm telling you, they are not playing, and they are willing to push Xers and boomers out of the way unless you can hear them. Unless you give them a voice, unless you got something to bring to the table, some real to bring them to the table, because they don't even jive with the voting too much. They will vote, but then some of them don't know who or what to vote for. That's why I brought some of this stuff at the beginning about these elected officials and how you should do your research. Get with your child and do the research. If you love them and you love your grandkids, and leave. Look, if you're anything like me and my family and most of us, we've been living in this country all our lives. So you ain't got to tell me about something that's racist that I've experienced all my life. Teach me something else. Teach me how to overcome it and get around it and not be so emotional when somebody just bring up the racist word. You want to say one group is racist and the other group not, and they go somewhere and have a party and laugh at us. Oh, he wasn't racist, this one racist over here. And then they go somewhere and have a party and laugh at us and laugh with a whole nother group of people that they have brought in and they have started to replace us. Yeah, get ready. It's a such thing as a replacement theory. But that theory, if you keep looking at it, it can easily slip up on you, and then you look up one day and it became true. By that time, it's too late. By that time, it's too late. We got millennials and Gen Zers that's acting now. They don't involve themselves with the building much because the spiritual leaders, they were not Daniels. They were not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were not Isaiahs, and they were not Samuels and Nathans. They were not and are not. They're all about the money. They sold Daniel out. When the Medes and the Persians overthrew Babylon, Daniel had to go through a whole nother type of bondage. He done went from being in bondage to Babylon to being in bondage with the Medes and the Persians. And every time God gave him favor, he gave him favor with King Darius. I mean, Daniel had favor with King Darius, and King Darius even put Daniel in a high office. And then the people that was rooting against Daniel, the people that came actually against Daniel, they set him up. They went to the king and blew the king head up and made the king feel like, you special. We're going to treat you like a god. We're going to give you a certain day. And can't nobody pray on that day. And then I can see that in today's time, man, the people sit there and fall for that mess because they took prayer out of school. Did nobody fight against that? And if you did fight against it, trust me, your representation of your political officials, they didn't go in and vote it. They voted it out. They didn't vote it in, they voted it out. It went from a separation of church and state, and now you like, well, the school is a part of the state. And if you pray, that's a part of church. And you can't pray in the school, oh no. But I can pledge an allegiance to a flag, though. I can do that. And I can do my country 'tis of thee. I can do all of that. But God forbid prayer. You pray at home. Don't pray on no football field, baseball field, basketball, none of that. We allowed them to take that out. The same people that we put in office. Come on, let's keep it real. Gen X, let's keep it real. Baby boomers. Because that's when it happened. It happened on our watch. Yes. Praying family. Yeah, well, you know what? Let me close up. I don't even have to tell you about it for especially the people that go to the building. And no matter what, if you're a scripture reader, you know about Daniel and you know about King Darius and you know how they set him up because Daniel refused to not pray to the Most High. They knew he did it three times a day. He faced east and he did it 3 times a day. And the people that was running up under him, because they were jealous of him in this government, they set him up and made the king go make a law that no one could pray. And then they say, well, we caught Daniel praying. Now the king got to uphold his own law. So Daniel, you got to go to the lion's den. But Daniel said, so what? Send me to the lion's den. I'm still talking about people in government now. Because this separation of church and state thing, it has duped us and we duped out our brain into where we done messed around and made these people our God and we really think that we serve the Most High. Keep it real. Keep it real. Because when it's time to vote, you're going to run, jump up, and you're going to vote for the first person that make you feel good and emotional. Or this Governor Newsom guy, this good-looking guy, because Bill Clinton was supposed to have been a good-looking guy. Mitt Romney was supposed to have been a good-looking guy, but he lost against another good-looking guy in Barack Obama. George Bush started the 501c3 Faith-Based Initiative Act to get in, to work his way inside the church so you can say what they tell you to say and what you better not say. But you better not be up in that pulpit saying what they say you can't say. Unless you're willing to risk your 501c3. Come on, Daniel. Come on, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Risk that 501c3 to tell the truth. Risk it to tell the truth to the people. That's why we had the mass exodus from the building. They always say, I don't go, I don't believe it, I don't even believe that book no more. So, hey, it's valid, it's good, it's right. You probably feel the same way if you came up in that day, but you came up in another day. Till then, man, I'm gonna get ready to close this down. You remember what I said? I tried to put some academia in this one. Because I know we don't do the Constitution. Every now and then I'm gonna drop some of the Constitution on top of your head. Because everybody love to talk about it, but don't know probably what's in it. They don't know nothing about the First Amendment. Most people just say they know about the Fifth Amendment. In my community, I plead the Fifth. That's it. Wow, the other community know about the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, and most of them know about all of it. Yeah, we going somewhere. Bad Bunny, whoever this guy is, he just sent you a strong message. 7 days off the Grammys from winning all those awards to the national stage at the Super Bowl, letting you know that we are coming and it's nothing that you can do about it. Because if we have a government that's working with us and on our side, because the image in the White House is not going to be there long, we coming out to everything you guys fought for. The civil rights, y'all fought for it. We going to benefit off of it. Your family put their lives on the line for it, spit up on, dogs sicked on, water sprayed on. We going to benefit off of it. Drag queen says the same thing. We're going to benefit off of it. Every immigrant says the same thing. We're going to benefit off of it. Yeah, that's your Civil Rights Act that you've marched for. You marched for that Civil Rights Act. And everybody else benefit off of it. Look in your neighborhood. Look at downtown Los Angeles. Look at San Francisco, the streets. I just saw a post of that small city, Greenwood, Mississippi. Whatever city you in, you just look at it. And now do your own research and see who's running that city and how long have they been running it. Figure it out. Until then, this is Jay. I'm about to close this one down. Check out K Meal of the Day in our mystery building. Thank you so much. Again, I'm asking my family, stay strong, stay focused. Justice is the only way. That's right. So like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification button. And until then, like I always say, I'm out of here. What the flux?
Hidden deep in the jungles of Cambodia lies Banteay Chmar. A temple so massive, it rivals Angkor Wat itself. But for centuries, no one even knew it existed. The jungle swallowed it whole. Roots wrapped around towers, and the walls, covered in mysterious carvings, vanished beneath vines and silence. When explorers rediscovered it, they found something that didn't make sense. The carvings didn't tell stories of kings or wars. They mapped the stars. The temple walls align perfectly with constellations. Some panels show what looks like solar systems, others, spiral galaxies, carved centuries before telescopes existed. Locals whisper that it wasn't a temple for humans, but a mirror built for the gods, to reflect the heavens above. Archaeologists still don't know how they measured so precisely, or why this place was erased from history. But one thing's certain, it wasn't built for people to worship the stars. It was built so the stars could see themselves.